My name's Josh Hay, and I am the current social convener at the Queen Margaret Union. I've been involved in the Queen Margaret Union for about 3.5 years. I've been on board for about 3 years, and I am running for the position of president in the upcoming general elections for the student union.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Josh. Why do you believe that you are best suited for this role?
I would believe I would be best suited for the role, Jordan, because I have a wealth of experience in the union. I've seen the union at both good times and bad times. I have seen things that have worked and things that sadly have not worked. And I think with that combination across all events in the union, all committees, I think I have a good solid base to go forward and take the QM next year and as president.
All right. So one of your biggest points is investing in bars and giving the union a facelift, both of which could be considered quite expensive tasks, considering the background of the pandemic and QMU's financial history. How do you plan on raising the necessary revenues to complete these projects?
Well, listen, first of all, it's not a big step for a paint job. I worked as a painter before I came to university, and I'm quite happy to get tubs of paint and give it just a wee facelift. But in terms of to answer the same question of raising money, quite simply, we put on events that students want to have and want to see. So we ask students if they're in the building or at other events, what would you like? And then we take that forward, make those events, and then from that we can have profits to then invest in ourselves and invest in facilities. And we can also say to the university, look, we want to do this. Would you be willing to fund this a bit? And if we can convince them of the benefit, which I'm sure we could get some funding, because that's how we got our new branding with the kind of two-tone, the kind of purple and sorry, beg your pardon, kind of black and pinky colours. We just said to the university we want to renovate, and they accommodated us. So I would be hopeful they would do the same again, especially given the backdrop of the pandemic.
All right. Many believe that QMU needs structural change in order to form. Many believe that the QMU needs structural change in the form of constitutional amendments. What would you do in this regard? And if so, would you keep members' voting rights, life members' voting rights?
Absolutely, life members. As I've said in my manifesto, I'd listen to all members, and because I think with life members, all right, we don't get as much engagement as we would like from life members, but these are the guys that have been there and done it. They've seen what's worked and what hasn't worked, and I value their input, and I've spoken to quite a lot of life members, and as my time in social convener and now in the campaign trail, and some of their ideas are fantastic. In terms of constitutional change, this is something we've been toiling with for a while. I'm not going to lie to you, it's been something that's been a real problem. I would sincerely look down at the Constitution and have a right good analysis of what works now, what's outdated, what do we need to change. The exec this year, and credit to them, wanted to change a bit, but with everything that's went on, they weren't able to. So I would certainly liaise with them and say, look, what ideas did you have? I would liaise with the board, and I would liaise again with the general members and just say, what do we think's best? Because we're a dysfunctional, but we're a family, so we need to take it as a group decision, not just on me as if I was president.
All right. We also saw recently the issue of staff unionizing right before the pandemic hit. What do you think are the main labor tensions within the union, and how will you solve them?
Well, I think the main labour tension is and was the staff dispute over furlough. It was certainly an issue that I thought, in my personal opinion, we didn't handle to the best of our ability, and we could have done better. And I think one of the things that will be coming up soon will be, making sure everyone that we either furloughed or still have is getting back into employment and we're getting them good opportunities. So I would certainly be at the forefront of making sure that we look after our workers, Jordan, because those are the guys that make the union run. They put as much, if not more, effort and time into the union than we do. So we really need to look after them, and I would be making sure that's a definite priority.
All right. One final question. What would you do differently to bring students back into the QMU, which hasn't been done in the past?
I think this is a question that gets asked quite a lot, and I think there's been a very simple answer to it that people don't see. We need to ask students what they want. It's quite easy for us to sit and say, why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? What about this? What about that? When I was social convener and hosted the big Wednesday night pub quiz, that you yourself came to. You know, one of the things I wanted to do was change it up because it was the same rigid structure, 6 rounds, 6 questions, but the broadly same, you know, themes each week. So I'd said, why don't we change the rounds? Why don't we get suggestions on what themed quizzes we'll do from those that come? So I put out a questionnaire, got them to fill it in, and we get brilliant ideas. So that's what I'll do. I'll ask members, whether it be at events, whether it be through our social medias, or even whether it be just saying to them while they're in the union, perhaps enjoying a coffee or whatever, in passing, if I know them, I'll say, what do you want to see in the Queen Margaret Union? What do you think would be a good idea? And if we start getting similar answers back, say, for example, I don't know, Brazilian salsa dancing, right? Everyone's crazy for that. We'll do that. We'll say, right, let's plan this. Let's think how we can get students back in. And that's the key to it. And I think that's what's been missed the past couple of years is board members, and I could include myself in this, think they know what students want best without asking them. And I think we need to ask the students a bit more on what they actually want to see in the union, Jordan.
Mm-hmm. So kind of backtracking a bit, you talked about bars being like one of the big things that you want to really bring forward, but bars traditionally haven't performed very well, especially within QMU, and now, especially with the pandemic, those might not open for ages. So what would you believe would be a different place that you could invest the money in? Or do you believe so thoroughly in bars that you believe that that's going to be the place that QMU can recoup some of its losses?
Well, if I was to kind of stick on bars before I move elsewhere, you know, I think we have got a decent selection of drinks in our bars, but we really need to diversify it and we really need to expand it a wee bit. I'm a man that loves a strawberry daiquiri, right? I'll put my hands up in the room and say that. We don't sell that in the union. We're really, really limited in our cocktails. So we should maybe try. And for me, I work in a nightclub and we done this and we got lots more business from people who wanted a cocktail because let's face it, they're lovely in a night out. In terms of other places and getting folk in, I think we should look at maybe getting a bit more study space in the union. That gets people through the door, and then you can offer more drinks deals, as I've highlighted in the manifesto, more food deals as well in our cafes and food outlets, and then you can ramp up business that way. You know, because if you make, listen, you and I both know students, the cheapest is sometimes the best. So if we can offer a nice, cheap but high quality, you know, food product while students are in our building studying, I think we could genuinely do well because we've got lots of space in the union that doesn't get used half the day. So we can really, really invite the university in and get them to look at that and then build from there.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me. It was a pleasure having you.
No problem. Pleasure being here.